Right now, while you are watching this video, a hidden war is happening outside your window. Not between cats and dogs, not between rats and cockroaches, between birds. Ordinary city birds that you pass by every day without a second thought. On one side, crows, a small, closed clan of intellectuals. They remember faces. They hold grudges for years. They use tools, plan ambushes, and pass intelligence to their children. They are the mafia. On the other side, pigeons, a chaotic, fearless, endlessly reproducing mass. They don't think, they don't plan, they don't need to. They simply overwhelm everything in their path through sheer numbers and biological stubbornness. They are the mob. These two forces have been fighting for territory, food, and dominance in every major city on the planet. And you have been living in the middle of their battlefield your entire life without knowing it. Welcome to Corvid Signal. Subscribe before you leave because what you are about to learn will permanently change the way you look at ordinary city birds. Let's start with the spies, crows. In 2011, researchers at the University of Washington conducted an experiment that should disturb you. Scientists wearing a specific caveman mask captured and tagged several crows on campus. Standard research procedure, nothing unusual, except for what happened next. When those scientists walked across campus wearing the same mask weeks later, crows attacked them. Not just the crows that had been captured, crows that had never been touched, crows that had only watched from a distance. They remembered the face of the mask, and they told others. The researchers repeated the experiment over several years. The result was staggering. Crows that were not even born at the time of the original capture learned to recognize and attack the mask. The information had been passed from parents to offspring. A generational enemy database, written not in code, not on paper, but in the social memory of an entire species. Think about that. A crow can look at your face once, decide you are a threat, and your description will be circulated through a network of birds for years. You will be marked. You will not know it, but every crow in your neighborhood will. Now let's talk about the other side. Pigeons. Pigeons do not recognize your face. They do not hold grudges. They do not build social databases. On the surface, they seem stupid. They walk into traffic. They sit on electrical wires in the rain. They eat cigarette butts. But pigeons have something crows do not, a built-in GPS system that is more accurate than your phone. Inside a pigeon's eyes are proteins called cryptochromes. These molecules are sensitive to Earth's magnetic field. A pigeon literally sees magnetic north, not as a concept, as a visual overlay on reality. Imagine walking through your city and seeing glowing grid lines on every street, every building, every turn. That is what a pigeon sees. On top of that, pigeons build spatial maps through repetition. They fly the same routes hundreds of times until every rooftop, every alley, every dumpster is memorized. Not through intelligence, through brute mechanical repetition. They do not need to be smart. They need to be relentless. So here is your first round. Crows have a spy network built on facial recognition and generational intelligence. Pigeons have a navigation mesh built on magnetic biology and obsessive repetition. Two completely different operating systems, both terrifyingly effective. Now let's watch them fight. Crows operate like a classic mafia family. Small numbers, high coordination. Every member has a role. When a crow family identifies a food source, they do not rush in. They send a scout. The scout observes. How many pigeons are there? Are there cats? Are there humans? Is the food worth the risk? The scout reports back, not through some mystical telepathy, through specific vocalizations. Crows have over 80 distinct calls. Researchers have identified calls that mean danger, food, stranger, and known enemy. 80 words. That is more than some people use in a day. If the scout gives the green light, the family moves in. But not all at once. 2 or 3 crows land near the food. One or two stay high as lookouts. If a threat appears, the lookouts call. The ground team retreats. Clean, professional, surgical. Now watch what happens when pigeons are involved. Pigeons do not send scouts. Pigeons do not have lookouts. Pigeons have one strategy: arrive in overwhelming numbers and eat everything before anyone else can react. It is not elegant. It is not clever. But it works. A crow family of 6 cannot compete with 40 pigeons. The math is brutal. By the time the crow scout has reported back and the family has organized a tactical approach, the pigeons have already consumed 70% of the food. The crows get scraps, or nothing. And here is the part that makes crows dangerous. They adapt. If pigeons dominate a food source, crows do not keep trying the same approach. They change tactics. They have been observed waiting until pigeons are feeding, then diving in aggressively to scatter the flock and grab the highest value items in the chaos. Hit and run. A mugging, not a siege. Crows have also been documented using tools to access food that pigeons cannot reach, bending wire to hook food from narrow spaces, dropping nuts onto crosswalks so cars crack them open, using sticks to probe crevices. A pigeon will stare at a closed container until it dies of old age. A crow will figure out how to open it in under 10 minutes. But tools and tactics have a limit when your opponent does not care about losing. Pigeons have zero psychological response to threat. A crow can dive bomb a pigeon, and the pigeon will flinch, move 3 feet to the left, and continue eating. No trauma, no memory of the attack, no behavioral change. You cannot intimidate an organism that does not process intimidation. This is the core of the war. Intelligence versus indifference. Strategy versus mass. The spy versus the army. Crows do not forget. We established that. But the depth of their memory is darker than most people realize. There are documented cases of crows dropping stones and heavy objects onto cars belonging to specific people who disturbed their nests. Not random cars, the same car, repeatedly, over months. In one case in Japan, crows targeted a specific postal worker who had knocked down a nest while trimming a tree. For 3 years, every time he walked his route, crows would dive at him, only him. His replacement was never touched. The crows knew his face, his uniform, his schedule. They ran a targeted harassment campaign with more precision than most human organizations. Crows also conduct organized mobbing against rival birds. Hawks, owls, eagles. Birds much larger and more dangerous than themselves. A single crow cannot fight a hawk, but 15 crows can make a hawk's life so miserable that it abandons the territory entirely. They take shifts, they scream, they dive, they do not stop. It is not a battle, it is a siege of psychological attrition. But against pigeons, these tactics fail. You cannot mob an enemy that has no territory to defend. You cannot harass an organism that does not experience harassment. And you absolutely cannot out-reproduce them. A single pair of pigeons can produce up to 8 broods per year, up to 16 offspring. In a city with mild winters, pigeons breed year-round. Crows produce 1 brood per year, 4 to 5 eggs. Do the math. For every crow chick that hatches, 3 pigeon chicks have already fledged. This is the pigeon's ultimate weapon. Not intelligence, not navigation, reproduction. You can kill 100 pigeons and the population recovers in weeks. You can destroy every tactical advantage a crow builds, and the pigeons will simply fill the vacuum with bodies. It is biological carpet bombing. Now here is where you come in, because you are not a bystander in this war. You are a player, and you might already be compromised. Every time you feed a crow, you are entering a contract, not a metaphorical contract, a real behavioral contract that the crow will enforce. Researchers have documented that crows who receive regular food from a specific human begin to bring gifts. Shiny objects, buttons, pieces of glass, small stones. They leave them where the human will find them. This is not random. This is payment. This is a transaction. But here is the part nobody warns you about. If you stop feeding them, the contract is broken. And crows treat broken contracts the way any self-respecting mafia family would, with retaliation. People who have stopped feeding crows after establishing a routine report being followed, being cawed at aggressively, finding garbage scattered on their doorstep, having their car targeted. The crows do not understand that you got busy, or went on vacation, or simply forgot. They understand that you broke the deal, and they respond accordingly. You have accidentally become a godfather in a crow cartel, and you did it with a handful of breadcrumbs. Meanwhile, pigeons ask nothing of you. They expect nothing. They remember nothing. You can feed a pigeon every day for a year, stop suddenly, and the pigeon will not even register your absence. It will simply find another food source within minutes. No grudge, no vendetta, no relationship whatsoever. This is the final asymmetry of this war. Crows build relationships with humans. Deep, complex, potentially dangerous relationships. Pigeons treat humans as weather. Sometimes food falls from the sky, sometimes it does not. Either way, life continues. You are an ally to the crows. You are furniture to the pigeons. And both of those roles have consequences you never signed up for. Tomorrow morning, when you walk outside, look up. Find the nearest crow. It will probably be watching you already. It has seen you before. It knows if you are a threat or an asset. It has filed you in a database that will outlive you. Then look down. Find the nearest pigeon. It does not know you exist. It does not care. It will be here long after the crows have calculated their last vendetta, long after you have thrown your last breadcrumb, long after every strategy and counter-strategy has played out, because the pigeon does not need to win the war. It just needs to survive it. And surviving is the one thing pigeons do better than any creature on Earth. This has been Corvid Signal. If this changed the way you see the birds outside your window, subscribe and hit the bell. The next episode goes deeper. And one more thing. Write in the comments whether you have ever noticed signs of surveillance from crows in your neighborhood. Specific birds that seem to watch you. Birds that appear on your route too often to be coincidence. I want to hear your stories, because I guarantee you, once you start paying attention, you will not be able to stop.